Hey everyone, it's Kay here, and today I'm going to be discussing / reviewing Christopher Nolan's new film Dunkirk. Set in World War II, during the evacuation of Dunkirk, which happened in spring-summer 1940. It takes place over a week, and literally thousands upon thousands of soldiers were stranded on the beach in Dunkirk, surrounded by enemies on all sides, with the ocean before them and potential death there as well. Nowhere was safe, and the film really plays on this aspect of uncertainty and kind of sheer uneasiness, and that's done through the way it's shot, the score as well, the ticking noises and just the general unease of the soundtrack by Hans Zimmer is amazing. And I felt so on edge watching the film, like literally sitting there thinking, oh god, who's gonna die next? What's gonna happen? And that's really brilliant, the fact that the film clearly was made to make you feel like that. It definitely succeeded in kind of creating this really uneasy atmosphere. Other things that contributed to that was the lack of dialogue. Most of the characters barely spoke to each other, and when they did, it was important information. There was no discussions, there was no kind of ice-breaking conversations. It was very much, these characters are in this moment and it's literally survival that's the only thing that matters. You don't need to get to know the people around you because all you're focused on is, I want to get home, I want to get out of here. Potentially made it a little bit more impersonal than some other war films. Some war films, it's very much a story about this character in this conflict and their story and their journey, whereas this film very much felt like it was about the event and less about the people in it. Of course we do follow particular characters, but because we don't really get to know them very well, we're more interested in what's happening around them. I mean, these poor men have gone through absolute hell in the war. I mean, essentially the men on the beach are sitting ducks, so there's not really time to have a nice chinwag, is there? You're more so concerned about enemies behind you, enemies in the sky. Like, literally nowhere is safe, and the film very much fed into that with the long silent pauses and just the overbearing soundtrack. I mean, it's a beautiful soundtrack, but it's very much there throughout the film, and again, it's creating that uneasy atmosphere. And the narrative of the story is quite, I would say, potentially confusing, because the story is being told from 3 different perspectives, from the land, from the sea and from the sky. And then these different storylines also have their own timeline, and so in a way it does create a little bit of confusion for a little while, but then you kind of piece together different aspects of the film. You kind of think, ah, and that moment where you kind of realise, I swear with most Christopher Nolan films, there's a moment in the film you're like, ah, that makes sense. Like Inception, Interstellar, there's like these kind of moments where you think, oh, where everything just slots in. That's what makes Christopher Nolan quite an intriguing and cool filmmaker, is the way he plays with narratives. They're very much non-linear, so you have to put the puzzle pieces together. So that's something I like about his films, because it's very much, you don't just watch, you think as well. It's very engaging films that he makes. Is it fair to make comparisons to Stanley Kubrick? I mean, I kind of did that when Interstellar came out, because I was like, oh, is this Nolan's 2001: A Space Odyssey? I mean, don't get me wrong, Interstellar is an amazing film, but there's still an edge to 2001: Space Odyssey, and he got close. And now with Dunkirk, I mean, this is an exceptional piece of film. I don't know, has he got to the heights of Kubrick yet? I mean, for me, Stanley Kubrick is probably the greatest filmmaker ever, because some of the films he's made are just absolutely outstanding. I'm sure that's the same for a lot of film fans, that he's just kind of the standard and then everyone else kind of falls somewhere below him. But also I've noticed something as well, it's like all the great filmmakers make at least one war movie. So with Kubrick it was Full Metal Jacket, Francis Ford Coppola, Apocalypse Now, which again, another brilliant film, and now it's Nolan with Dunkirk. And it's a very worthy entry into the hall of war films, if you will. And I must say, even though it's quite a harrowing film and you're pretty much on edge from the moment the film opens to the roll of the credits, you're on edge. It's a very thrilling and enjoying film. It's brilliant, and it is also a hark back to old filmmaking. Everything was practical, the ships, the planes, the practical effects. It just looked real and realistic. The film was filmed on film, which it sounds ridiculous me saying that, but a lot of films are now moving to digital, so this organic feel of the film is very much reflected in the format that it was filmed on, being film. Also the colour palette of the film as well, beautiful kind of deep colours, a lot of blues, grey, to reflect like the drudgery and the misery as well that these men would have been going through. Utter misery and just sorrow as well. They could potentially never make it home. It's beautifully shot as well. Like, Christopher Nolan is a wizard behind the camera. The cinematography in the film is gorgeous, and it was Christopher Nolan teaming back up with his Interstellar cinematographer Voight Han Hoytema, who has been like behind the camera on Her, Spectre, quite a lot of other films that again look beautiful. So it's exceptionally shot. Sound editing is brilliant, the soundtrack is brilliant, the acting is brilliant. There's so many good people in this as well. You've got Mark Rylance, Tom Hardy as a rather dashing pilot, Kenneth Branagh, Cillian Murphy, like so many good people in it, so many good performances, like also surprisingly, when I know a lot of people are like, ow, why is Harry Styles in a film? He was actually really good in it. Yeah, so to wrap up, brilliant film, brilliant action, and yeah, it's just a really great, interesting, heartfelt film. And if anything, it kind of brings back your appreciation for what these men did for this country. It's a film that kind of shows its appreciation for the everyman, for the man that participated in any way he could, be it the civilians that sailed their ships over towards danger, and then the men desperately fighting their way out of danger. And so my rating is 5 hearts. Brilliant direction, brilliant cinematography. It's a story that needs to be seen and marvelled upon. So do yourself a favour and check it out. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of film reviews, and let me know in the comments section what you thought of the film. Question to you guys is, what is your favourite Christopher Nolan film? Personally, for me, I have a soft spot for Inception. Ever since it came out, I've just thought it was a brilliant example of inventive storylines, great cinematography, and really cool characters. And Tom Hardy as Eames is probably one of my favourite characters in a film ever. Oh gosh, that's where the crush began. Tom Hardy, you beautiful man. Anyway, let's stop this. I could probably write a whole essay on why Tom Hardy is like the perfect specimen of the human race, but I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, I'll catch you later. Bye bye.